I'm Chad Grevalese with Aerolite TV and your host of the show, Connect Up. If you're looking to gain traction in your career or business, you're at the right place because here we talk about connection. You need to know how to connect with the right people in the right way so you can build valuable relationships that lead you to career success. We have conversations about how to find your voice in your career. I interview communication experts, time and focus masters, and everyday people who have stories to tell of challenges overcome, goals achieved, and how their inner and outer communication and ultimately their relationships accelerated their progress and elevated their journey. Success in life is just a collection of the right conversations with yourself and others. Connect up to a better version of yourself. Connect up to your goals and a brighter future. Disconnect from the things that are holding you back and connect your way to where you want to be. Today, I get to have a conversation with Allen Isaacson. He loves helping people and businesses grow by aligning their operations and strategy. He's really good with systems, and he's all about execution. His business is called Ambright Consulting, and he offers a variety of services to small and mid-sized businesses, including startups and entrepreneurs. In today's episode, we're going to talk a bit about education and that a degree is not what it used to be, that a degree is not enough to gain traction in your career, and what are the alternatives? What are all the different options out there regarding continued education that are unique to our modern society? We're going to talk a lot about that. We're also going to discuss the importance of mentorship and the importance of finding mentors and being a mentor and what that has to do with your networking journey. You'll also learn the importance of our inner voice and how that inner voice in our head, the way that we talk to ourselves, how that influences our relationship building, and what we can do to develop real trust with people. If you haven't already, be sure to subscribe on iTunes. Go find us on YouTube so you can subscribe to the channel there, where you'll also get some other videos and other content that will help you on your journey into connecting your way to your goals. And if you want to learn more from us, go to aerolite.tv, where you can discover what else I have to teach you that hopefully can get you on track in your career. I do online workshops, and I have a free class that I do every Wednesday at 2 p.m. Mountain for 1 hour. It's called Communicate Now. And if you're self-employed or a freelancer, you're really going to benefit from this class. If you're not, you're still going to benefit, and you're going to gain a lot of insight that will help you in your career. But I will be speaking more specifically to those who are self-employed or a freelancer, or you're doing your own thing. The kind of tips that I give on networking and time management are going to be very relevant to you. And so go check that out and sign up so you can come to our class on Wednesdays at 2 p.m. And so welcome to the show, Allen Isaacson. I'm glad to have you on today's show because we talk about connection on this show, and you are somebody who has had some experiences with not only connecting with people, but also connecting with certain awareness and certain level of mindset that helps people to move forward in our life. And so I'm really excited to hear from you. First of all, what brought you to where you are today? What's your story, and why are you passionate about what you're passionate about right now?
All right. Well, first of all, thanks for having me on. It's my pleasure to be here. I'm excited to reach out to these folks. These are people that I really enjoy talking to. I guess I should start at the beginning. Entrepreneurship used to be a dirty word. Back then they called it small business. Runs in my family, and my grandfather ran small businesses in the Bay Area, and he moved out here to Las Vegas, and out here we had a series of small businesses, doing a lot of consulting. Real estate was a big one for us. There was a big real estate boom out here. And my father ended up picking up the mantle in his business his father's business after he left the corporate world. And then I, in my infinite wisdom as a 15 or 16-year-old, had decided, I don't want to do anything that I don't want to do what my dad is doing because I want to go my own way. But I just couldn't stay away from it. I ended up, I needed a summer job when I was 16. I had helped the family business a little bit with some web design back when it was still sort of edgy. And, and I ended up working with my father through his clients and helping them. And then when I was 18, because I knew everything, I was like, oh, I'm not going to do anything business world. I'm going to go off and work for the federal government and try to join, which now it just makes me crack up, trying to see myself in that bureaucratic position. So what I ended up doing was going to college. I just knew I was going to go to college for 4 years, get my degree. I was going to go join the State Department. And by the end of the first year, I knew that it was all going haywire. I was facing a lot of personal issues with mental health and struggling around that and trying to keep myself going. And that took a lot out of me, and I wasn't able to focus on school, and I didn't really enjoy it. I just didn't have my heart in it. I still don't have a degree. Don't feel like I need one. I want to go back someday and wrap it up. But right now, I'm enjoying a lot more having to focus on my business, helping people. And I also tried the corporate world. I took a year off from school. I worked for Wells Fargo as a teller, and I loved it at first. It was a structured environment. Then my management team switched on me, and things went downhill, and I didn't have the courage at the time to let go and realize I needed to move on. And so I started coming in late, and I was fired. And that was a blessing in disguise, because it forced me to drop the backup. And that's when I really started to hit the ground running and start looking at my business. A lot of people who are younger and have that pressure to go do what they've been told to do. Maybe it's a degree, maybe it's, go take on the family business, and they don't want to do that. A lot of people have that pressure, and I think that at some point you just have to be your own person. And the people who love you and care about you, when they see that you're happy doing that, will be proud of you.
Yeah, I totally see eye to eye with that. Something you referenced as you brought up your unfinished degree. I want to ask you about this, because I think it's an interesting thing that I see going on in today's professional world. That and I love getting a variety of perspectives on this, because I just think it's really fascinating that for a while in our country's history, a couple generations ago, I mean, a degree really meant a lot, and it was very valuable and practically necessary for most careers. That, if you wanted to go into this field, then you got a degree in this specific thing. And when I think about my grandparents and my parents, I mean, they got a degree, and then they got a relevant career to that degree, and that degree helped them get launched into that career. But I'm noticing that kind of journey is starting to buckle on itself with the millennial generation, and a degree is not what it used to be. That is
not even close.
You can show up to a job interview with a degree, but if you don't have the perceived value that this person is wanting, that degree is not going to get us the traction that we think. So we have a lot of people exiting college just like, okay, good, I got my degree. I'm in massive amounts of debt now, but it's okay because my career is going to take off because I have my degree. And then it doesn't. Yeah, and there's a lot of people in their 20s that are kind of struggling. What are some more thoughts you have on why our degree is not having the value that maybe it used to?
Well, first of all, let me say that for some people, it is the right way to go. They love it. They learn the skills. They love the learning. I personally am passionate about learning. I'm actually passionate about academics. I enjoy writing and studying in-depth topics outside of the standard curriculum. And that's where I start to have a bone to pick, because I think the standard curriculum has now gotten to a point where, these colleges are growing. They need tuition funding. Tuition has been rising to an all-time high, and everything is getting more and more standardized and less personalized. And that's a problem, because that means that you don't necessarily come out of college with that degree and the skills and lessons and experiences that make you a full, mature person. That, a big thing is most people come out of college with no idea how to network. And that's a travesty. It's actually a tragedy, because if you come out, I mean, that's 80% of all jobs in the professional world are attained through networking, not through having a great resume. I mean, let me put it this way, just at the corporate level, as a teller, the face of the company for Wells Fargo, I'm sure I was competing against people with degrees. The thing that put me ahead was that I had 10 years of having learned Spanish in school, and then I had lived almost 3 months in South America. And so I had fluency in Spanish. And so they hired me I'm sure they hired me almost solely based on that. I mean, I do great in interviews and whatnot, but I'm sure they hired me almost solely based on that. And that's because I went and traveled, and that's not something that people tell you to do. Most people don't even do study abroad in college, and that's not focused on learning the culture, traveling and engaging and improving the skills and meeting new people and learning how to interact with people you don't know and you don't necessarily understand. Those are all important skills. Also, being a customer service rep, when I was broke and needed a job, made a huge difference. And a lot of people sweep that stuff to the side. And that's also a shame, because those are valuable positions to learn and experience, especially when you're younger. You don't have a lot of experience to offer, but you have a lot of time.
Yeah, definitely. That is, you said some key things there about how we come out of college having no idea how to network, and that is the thing that gets us jobs. That was me. I came out of college having no idea how to network. I mean, I was always less social, and so not only did I not know how to network, even if you're outgoing, you still have to learn how to network. It's a totally different skill than just showing up to a party and socializing. But I was shy on top of it, and so I avoided people, and I didn't know how to, and I was hoping I could just kind of quietly find my way. And I had to find mentors and study and gain a whole new education on networking that ended up now being key to me actually gaining traction in my career. And it's a total tragedy that we learn how to be really good at memorizing all these facts, and then we leave college not having the communication skills that are necessary, not having the time management skills that are necessary, and the networking skills and those leadership skills that really turn you into somebody who can be of real value. And yes, like you said, for some people, a degree is still a good option and an important one, and it's something that everyone needs to consider individually. But it is not the only way. And like for me, I got a degree in film, and that's not typically something that, even that industry, you don't have to get most people in the film industry don't have a degree at all. I wanted it because I wanted some of the experiences associated with connecting with certain people at a certain school and being able to learn some technical skills that I didn't have. But the degree alone has not landed me a single job. Out of college, it was networking with the right people. Once I learned how to do that, that got me jobs with doing film and video, and now building a new business. I'm having to learn it all over again. The importance of networking in all of that.
And also, let me add to that. I mean, the other thing is that the industry has changed so much. I mean, at the time that you were probably getting your degree, no one was teaching YouTube. No one was teaching, independent filmmaking necessarily, or maybe they were, and I'm wrong. But those are now evolving technologies, and if you look at the pace that things are changing, it's exponential. I mean, the difference between 2000 and 2010 is exponentially lower in our world than the difference between 2010 and 2015. And so on. The difference between 2015 2018 is not as large at all as the difference between 2018 and 19 will be, because it just keeps increasing at that rate. And on that, I think that part of that is that standardized curriculum that you get. Standardization, in my opinion, is the enemy of innovation. If you go by what I had If you go by the standardized tests I took as a young man, or in school, as in high school, I should have gotten my degree very, very early on. I should have been a rock star in my career because I just hit all the check boxes so well, but they don't capture a person. And so nowadays value is established and held in your unique capacities, abilities, and viewpoints as an individual person, and not the check boxes that you hit on your resume, for example.
Yeah, definitely. And to play off what you said, how we're the industry of continued education is growing a lot, where we now have so many platforms for education online that weren't available before, that we're redefining what it means to be educated. For a while it was you went to college and you got a degree, thus you're educated. Now we're moving more into a place where there is a lot of viable and valuable education online through so many online courses and books, and there's just education all over the place in any industry. We want to start a business. You don't need to go get a business degree. Just go get a few books by some smart people and take a few online courses. What?
Google, man.
Yeah.
Google changed the game. I mean, I'm self-educated. I went to college for quite a while, but I'm self-educated because all the skills and experience that I employ every day in my business are stuff that I taught myself through Google, and stuff that I taught myself through trying and doing, failing, trying again, fine-tuning and adjusting. And the stuff that I learned in my degree program, as much as I have a passion for knowing and exploring those ideas, I don't use it unless I'm on Facebook talking about politics with people. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, which one do you think has more weight? I mean, Google changed the game, and just being able to now, with the networking set of opportunities and technologies, it's a whole different story. Because now with networking, when you see someone who's doing what you want to do, this is definitely something I want to talk about. I'm sure we're going to get to. When you see something who's doing what you want to do, you aspire to be like them, you respect them, you admire them. Those are the people that you can now develop relationships with, and you can emulate what they're doing. And it changes the game for you, because then you can grow with them, not just be chasing their tails.
Yes. Thank you for bringing that up. That's a loop you just opened that I want to close in a few minutes, because I want to talk about that with you. So for anyone listening, just stay curious about the importance of mentorship for a few minutes. Just kind of finishing the conversation on this idea of that we have education that is continuing. And you talked about Google changing the game. For me, I don't know about you, but when I Google something, when I try to find information, I'm constantly looking at the date, and I want it to say 2018. And when I look in a blog or something else and they don't have a date, I just exit and I go back and look for a new one, because to me, business, everything is changing so much, and what works and everything else is the tactics, the strategies, all the information is changing so much that I want the most up-to-date information. And if I just come out of college thinking that what was written in that textbook written 10 years ago is the most up-to-date information, I'm going to hit a wall when I try to start a business and realize this doesn't apply anymore. This is now outdated. Information's changing so fast that the only way to stay up-to-date on careers and business, and anything, is to continue your education throughout your life and realize that you're a student forever. And so you better learn how to get on Google and do some research and stay up to date throughout the rest of your life. That don't come out of college thinking that now you have your education, now you can go practice. You have to keep educating yourself, because every day there's something new getting published online that just replace the information that you knew yesterday.
And I agree with you. I mean, there are tons of resources out there. Google's a great place to start. I learned how to research very early on, and have gotten very good at it because I grew up with it. But a lot of things that people don't realize, because Google has made us lazy in some ways, a lot of things that people don't realize is that there are, especially for business and entrepreneurship, tons and tons. I mean, so many resources out there that are free. I mean, nobody has ever heard of the Small Business Administration. Nobody talks about it. And they just have so many resources out there. People are going looking for funding. I'm like, if you're a small business person and you happen to be, a lot of new female entrepreneurs in the game, who have opportunities for them because they love to give funding to those persons as well. And there are tons of opportunities there to get that information. Now, I do want to push back on one thing you said. I mean, I do agree at the surface, at the micro level, that you need to be keeping your eyes forward on the changing innovations, the changing tactics and strategies. At the macro, in the big picture, I really think that business will always be the same. It will always be the same. There are these undercurrents to it. And if you can understand the concepts and undercurrents and the things that, are nuances, but at a very deep level, and I'm blessed to have a background in old school small business and old school corporate environments, that I saw that early on and emulated it. And now the different tactics and strategies for how you express that and how you employ that in your business or in your career are out there, and they're changing. But if you don't understand that base level, then that's where you should go back to the basic concepts. There are lots out there that you don't necessarily need to hit textbooks or whatnot, but there are a lot of basic concept stuff out there that will help you understand what's going on in that sense.
Absolutely. I completely agree with you that there are these foundational principles and concepts that are unchanging. That as much as at the surface level, there is, like I was saying, there's information that is constantly being updated as far as implementation and tools and technology. There's these foundational principles that are unchanging in how to advance in a career, in business, in communication, and in humans and people and what people want. And if we understand those key principles, so thank you for elaborating on that, because that is really important to understand that we need to be updating ourselves on what's current, but always going back and understanding those traditional principles that are unchanging. We're talking about how to connect our way to our goals, and we just discussed a lot of education, which is an important key part of the formula in connecting your way to any goal. You got to know what you need to know to get to where you want to be, and you got to know. So if there is somebody who is where you want to be, then you need to know what they know. And a part of that is connecting to the right mentors that can get you there. So let's talk about a key part of networking. We network to find maybe leads for our business or anything else. We network to find collaborators, but another key part of networking is to find mentors and teachers that are where we want to be, that know what we want to know, and can help accelerate our progress. Do you want to tell us a little bit about maybe the importance the mentors have been in your life, and also what we can do to find mentors that can help us to accelerate our progress in our career?
Yes, so definitely. Mentorship, game changing. If there aren't people that you look up to, that you can speak to, ask advice, share thoughts with, bounce stuff off of, then you're holding yourself back. When there is someone you admire and respect, you aspire to their level, you want to know what they know. You also want to know who they know, and how they know it, because those are all the three different aspects. I mean, what they know is the base level. Who they know is the people and their network that they're working with. And how they know it is how they got there. And that's learning their process so that you can develop your own process that shares similarities with it. So once you start to sort of not only own what you don't know, because, as a lot of people say, the wisest man out there knows how little he knows. And that's a paraphrase for sure. But definitely, so once you can own how little you know and how much you have to learn and how much you have to grow, then you can also start to own what you do know and where you can input your unique skills and viewpoint and experiences and your own journey. on LinkedIn, I found these people who are at the top of their game, and also people who are interacting with those people. Because you got to understand that networks are first degree, second degree, third degree. You know, they're the people you know, they're the people they know. And then there's the whole world that they know. And it's amazing how wide that network gets once you get to the third degree. So, you know, I would find those people who are doing great stuff, putting great stuff out there. I usually find them through someone else who, you know, I connected with, who I wasn't sure, they weren't doing too much, but, you know, I could see that they were sort of trying to figure it out or whatever, or we had a conversation. And then they happened to know one of these people because there's someone that they looked up to. And all of a sudden I'm looking at that person being like, wow, I want to do that too. I want to start building what they're doing, start building their network. And then once I looked at that person's stuff, I started finding the other people who are gravitating around that person. And those people also want to connect and collaborate. So I think mentorship is a way less of a hierarchy game, like where you look up and then you're helping someone because they're beneath you, and way more of an equality game. It's lateral and not vertical, because when you're mentoring someone, let me tell you something. A good relationship, a good mentor-mentee relationship is two-way all day. So that means that you may be sharing something, teaching something at some point, but you have to learn through that process and keep your mind open to that, because if you don't, then you're not gaining the benefit. My best way of learning something has been to teach it to someone else, because I tried it once and I did it right successfully, and someone else said, oh, I want to learn how to do that, but I wasn't able to sharpen my focus and figure out how to communicate that until I was teaching them. So that's a two-way street.
Totally. Yeah. I've had many experiences where I was sharing advice with somebody or giving them some mentorship on something, and there was a slice of it that I knew kind of up front, oh, I know what to say, and then in the act of just teaching them, all of a sudden there was just other stuff that came into my mind of like that I was like learning as I was teaching. I was learning as I was mentoring this person, and it's a really cool experience. And so it's as much as it's important to connect to mentors that will help give us the knowledge and the training that we need to get to where we want to be, we also need to look for opportunities to mentor others, because if we stay in that student/teacher state, we, like you said, we just we grow very quickly and we learn a lot as we teach and as we learn. And yeah, it's totally a two-way thing.
And to cut in just really quick, that's another thing to wrap back. That's another thing that college and traditional education struggles with, because they do have those hierarchies, and you are supposed to listen to this person and follow what they say and do what they say. And the best types of professors have always been the people that you can sit in their office and just chat about nothing relevant until all of a sudden you're building that relationship, and then you're more open to what they have to say, and then they're also open to what you need so they can deliver what you really like. The thing I always tell people when I get on a phone call with them, because I do so many phone calls with people who are, I don't think they're below my level at all. I think they're right. They may look up to me, but I think that they're doing awesome stuff, and I'm jealous in a sense, because I'm like, dang, I wish I was going through that journey part where, like, with the knowledge that I already had going through the journey. So like, I want to help you by sharing what I know so I can help you, like, maybe not make the same mistakes, but also just do way better than I did. And that's going to elevate me, because that's my passion. And I get so excited about that. But when I'm talking to them, I never start with, oh, let me tell you what I know. Here's what I did. Let me tell you what I know. In fact, that usually gets me downhill really fast. The first words out of my mouth is, why don't you tell me about your journey? Tell me about what you want and where you've been and where you want to go, so that I really deeply understand your needs and really deeply understand how I can help you and deliver the best advice. And that is something that has always been really expansive for me in my soul and in my career and in my personal life.
Yeah, you're not just lecturing. You're meeting them where they're at, and then figuring out the right questions to ask and figuring out what you can share that really is relevant to them. And so, yeah, thanks for sharing that. I want to kind of just recap the two main things we've gone over so far: education and mentorship, two things that are vital to our career advancement, and they're completely part of our networking journey, that we need to network our way into mentorship and network our way into education. Let's go a little deeper now and discuss kind of what's something that you had to disconnect from to move forward in your life, and what's something you had to connect to in order to move forward. And let's talk about some of these deeper philosophy elements of just disconnection and connection and the importance of that.
Well, let me just lay it out from the top right away. Disconnect from complacency, disconnect from all the excuses you make, telling myself, okay, I'm doing okay. Like, yeah, it's okay to be nice and say, yeah, you're doing fine. But also just sitting there and going like, I'm okay where I'm at. I'm sort of getting by, but I want more. But if you want more, anybody can sit. This is something that, someone I look up to very much, Gary Vaynerchuk, who's, he's at a huge level. And also something that, other people I look up to, who Adam Connors, for example, who's a networking savant in a lot of ways, they said this a lot in different ways, which is anybody can sit on the couch and look at what they want and point at it. But it takes someone special to get up off their ass and start doing it. And sometimes the thing that's stopping you is not just complacency, but it's that voice of self-doubt. It's those reservations. It's that backup plan you got. It's the thing that, you're like, oh, I'm not sure. It's scary. Fear. I get it. It's human. It's real. But courage is when you take that fear and you take that discontent and that discomfort and you harness it so you can get to that level where you're like, I'm no longer afraid anymore. So I think that those are, excuses, complacency, and that voice of self-doubt and that voice of like, looking for failure. That looking for failure is just setting yourself up for failure. So don't do that from the beginning. Don't do that. Just get going and give it a shot. If you mess up, cool. You've got time to figure it out. Sorry.
Yeah, definitely. Thank you. Yes. I as well had to separate. I had to disconnect from various voices that were, telling me that I wasn't going to get where I was trying to go, and voices that was telling me that, I had voices of like, you're too young, or, you're supposed to, you got to pay your dues and spend 20 years just working hard before you can have any kind of, yeah. Yes. And so that's really important. So you disconnected from some internal voice stuff. Do you want to tell us a little bit more about what our inner communication has to do with our ability to move forward? Because we talk to ourselves all day long. We also talk to other people. So how does that inner communication, the way that we talk to ourselves, like how does that keep us stuck? And what have you found is common, as something that's common with people in their inner communication that does keep them stuck? And what can we do about it?
Okay, so first of all, the inner voices. I should also say that sometimes that inner voice is something you've internalized from external voice. Sometimes it's your mom. Sometimes it's, your grandfather or your uncle or that one friend who's always whining or complaining or is like, nah. We all have that someone who gets in our head and we sort of emulate that voice in our own mind. And so sometimes that inner voice is an external voice that you've taken in deep. Communication, I think, between your inner voice and your inner journey and your inner knowledge of who you are has to be completely open to the communication of your external environment and the people you surround yourself with. I mean, connect to positivity, first of all. When someone says you are the product, Adam Connors says this, I know I've dropped his name a bunch of times. He says, when that thing that people say you are the product of the 5 people closest to you is 100% true. It's 100% true. If you look at the 5 people closest to you, the people who are always nagging on you and ragging on you are the people that get you down and they get you feeling negative about yourself. And the people who get excited about seeing you succeed are the people who want to take you to the next level and make you feel like you can. And so that it takes such a huge weight off your shoulders when you start to just realize, if I can't control all this stuff around me that, makes me scared, or I can't control the 5 closest people close to me. I can't control them. I can control who I pick and choose to spend time with, who I pick and choose to develop those relationships with. For better or worse, and maybe a little bit of both, I practice radical honesty. It doesn't mean that I go out of my way to say something hurtful or to say something that I feel, someone needs to hear. Sometimes you need to know when to keep your mouth shut. Sometimes if you don't have something nice to say, you don't say anything at all. But you also have to realize that when someone's asking you a question or they're asking you for advice, they're asking you because they need something real to get them to that answer. And sometimes it's not what they want to hear. Honesty can hurt. And there are ways to soften the blow, but at the end of the day, honesty can hurt. And some people are prepared for that and they aren't, but you can't control that. And I think that practicing that radical honesty also opens yourself up to allowing people to practice that honesty with you.
Yeah, definitely. So would you say, with that, how do we build a mutually beneficial trust-based relationship? Like, what's one thing you do that you've found is very helpful for establishing that trust so you can have those quality relationships in your network?
Really important question. I have already gotten harped on honesty and transparency. I think that those are essential. Mm-hmm. Being open to people's honesty with you, being developing and being earnest with your honesty with them. Another really, really, really essentially important one that nobody likes to talk about because it hurts: accountability. You mess up and you got to own it, because if you're not learning from those mistakes and those lessons so that you can move forward and grow, then what you've done is you've wasted your time. You've wasted that pain. You've wasted those mistakes. And you can't. Waste is the enemy. You have to grab hold of everything you can that's valuable. I see every failure, every mistake, every time I could have done a little better. Every time I hurt someone, I see it as an opportunity. I see it as valuable. And that may sound odd, like, oh, you hurt someone and it's a good thing? Yes, because next time it means I don't have to do it again.
That's huge. Thank you for linking accountability to being able to build trust-based relationships, because to build on that, I see it as like you're accountable in that relationship and in that conversation, but your ability to be accountable in all of your mistakes and all of your actions outside of that conversation, outside of the relationships, all the things you do in your daily life that this person has no idea about, where you are holding yourself accountable, it's going to affect your communication, and it's going to affect the way that you are expressing yourself to this person. And they are going to trust you much easier if you're just an accountable person. And somebody who is just accountable and is not pushing blame on people and other things, you project a certain type of like you said, transparency. You project a certain type of openness and trust, where it makes the other person feel a lot more safe getting to know you and being in that relationship with you. And it doesn't even matter because sometimes we might think, oh, well, they don't know that I wasn't accountable with all that other stuff because they don't know about that other stuff, but it's affecting your communication with this person, whether you like it or not. And so the way that you behave outside of this conversation is totally affecting where this relationship is going to go. So vitally important.
Sometimes I ask myself, how would the people around me feel if they knew that I did that? No one will ever know, but how would they feel if they knew how I did that? And then the next question that's obvious to me is, how do I feel about knowing that I did that? And oftentimes the answer is very, very unpleasant. I think what you said about the things outside of, not just outside of what you're saying or doing in that relationship, do affect everything that you do within that relationship. I think they affect, and that's because they affect who you are as a person. A lot of people say,
it's what you say, or it's what you do, not what you say. Words are cheap. Words are powerful too, but words are cheap. And I'm someone who, because I'm good with my words, I've always had the ability to be a manipulator if I wanted to, and sometimes have regretfully done so. And when I recognized that, I realized that the things I do have more power, so that when people see what I do aligns with what I say, then that respect is locked in right there, and almost nothing will ever shake it.
Yes. I thank you. I think that's a really powerful statement to kind of close this conversation on. That you, especially circling back to the whole theme of communication, that when you do what you say, that is just the foundation of trust. And you can say things all day long and be a great talker, but once people see that you are what you say and you do what you say, the trust is there, the respect is there, and now you've got a great mutually beneficial relationship. And so guess what? Unfortunately, that means that you gotta behave. You gotta be congruent 24/7, and you can't just talk the talk and act like this kind of person when you're networking and getting to know people. You've got to be this type of person all the time. And that is, again, we're not pushing like perfection expectations on you. Like we're always going to fall short of a lot of our expectations, and we're trying our best. But as long as we're trying to keep becoming a better version of ourselves, that's going to show, and that's going to cause people to really open up to us and trust us.
And you do it one step at a time. You can't do it all in one day. I mean, I screwed up my life over many years, so I'm not going to expect that I'm going to fix it in a month. It's going to take work. It's going to take time. It's follow through. There are two sides to that. It's follow through and it's execution. Follow through those are the things that people struggle with. You say you're going to do something. I struggle with it. Right now, I'm procrastinating on stuff that I told someone, I was going to get you a proposal. Yeah. And now I'm like 2 weeks gone, and I've been running behind on other things, and now I feel bad about it. So I'm procrastinating on it more because I want to avoid that feeling. And like, I got to own that within me and be like, shoot, all right. It's time to just start and make a little progress so I can see that I'm actually feeling better. And by the time I start, I'm feeling good all the way to the end, so that's follow through. And then like, if you connect with someone and you really there's someone you want to talk to, you don't reach out to them. And Adam Connor says this, name drop again. Adam Connor says this: if you don't reach out in the next 24 to 72 hours, they've already sort of mentally checked you off.
Yep. That is what then gives your words actual power. And just to kind of, you have referenced Adam Connors a few times. Adam Connors, I interviewed him a couple of weeks ago for their show, so make sure to check out his episode, because his episode will be live by the time the Allen's goes live. He has a lot of great things to say on networking, and I'm glad that you I'm glad that you kind of gave us that last tip of just following up with people and following through. You execute in that way, and you're going to build a strong network that will lead you to your goals. Allen, how can we connect with you? How can we learn more from you so that we can continue that relationship?
Well, I appreciate that. Shameless self-promotion right now. I did just launch a new website. There's one page that's about the business. Everything else is updates, articles, videos, photos. So that's a good place to start. It's ambright.consulting/updates. I've got a whole media series that I've been doing out there. I've got a story series about people's deeper stories and how that contributed to their success. I've got a series about mantras, was the first one I did. Most of the time, you don't go to a business-based website and never see the word mantra in there, right? And that was something talking about people who I knew as successful by my definition and their definition, asking them what their daily or weekly mantras were that keep them going. It helped them stay focused and keep going, get them going and growing. LinkedIn is my biggest number one. That's where I'm on most of the time. That's where people reach out to me, and I'm developing those relationships all the time. If you need a word of advice, if you just want to chat, send me a message. I'm here, day or night. I'll get back to you as soon as I can. let me put it this way. Helping people succeed in their business, in their entrepreneurship, in their personal and professional lives, helping them get going and growing is what gets me up in the morning. And so it puts me to bed with a smile on my face. And if there are ways that I can do that better, then I want that feedback. Another thing I like to say is your feedback is my lifeblood. Feedback is everything in this game. If you're just continue putting stuff out there and you never listen to what people have to say, if you're not even engaging with what they have to say, I go and make a point with every post I go out there, someone comments, I make a point of taking the extra minute or two to post a thoughtful comment back on every single thing that they say on my content, because that keeps them coming back. It shows that I care. And it gives me a chance to really develop that feedback and implement it in what I'm doing in the future so I can be better at doing what I want to do, which is helping people and hopefully making some money while I'm at it.
Well, thanks so much. There you have it. That's a variety of ways that we can connect with you, Allen. And I'm glad that you kind of closed up by sharing with us a little tip about just online networking. That if you're on LinkedIn, take advantage of that. I mean, I'm new to LinkedIn only in this last year, and I'm realizing how beneficial it is. That what you said, follow up on those comments, respond, show people that you really care, get out there and just serve people and seek for opportunities to help. And it does circle back around and help you advance in your own career as well, as you're just going out there to help others. And Allen, you've shared so much wisdom with us today, and thank you so much for giving us what you know. And I'm glad that you're able to be on our show today.
Thank you so much for having me on. I really, really, really hope you have a fantastic week.
Building upon something that Allen said, he talked about the importance of just being authentic when we network and when we communicate with people. And a thought I had was, well, how do we be authentic? How do we be authentic? And in my own personal journey, I've always been so concerned with being authentic that I wasn't being authentic at all, because I was thinking too much about myself. I was overthinking it. And so one closing thing I want to give you so that you can take away from this is that to be authentic, all you have to worry about is just being interested in the person you're talking to. Don't think so much about yourself and whether you're being authentic or not, because it's hard to pinpoint exactly. It's hard to put a dot on who we are. You know, it's hard to describe to somebody and ever even know fully who we are. It's hard to put that in words and even a picture. And so if you want to just be authentic and be who you really are, just be really interested in the person you're talking to, be really interested in them, and just listen. And that will naturally cause you to be more authentic. Again, if you haven't already, make sure to go subscribe to YouTube or iTunes so you can follow this show. I also have other videos that I release every week, actionable tips on how you can communicate your way to your goals and advance in your career. Have a great day, and I'll see you next week.